Move this real quick.
It's too late. We're live.
All right, that's cool.
I really dislike you. I can't believe you did this to me. You're the first you're the first person to ever be late. Are you aware of that?
That means I'm the blackest.
Probably. I mean, Sharice might fight you on that because I think Sharice might argue that she is the blackest and she was actually early. So I don't know.
That's almost shameful that she was early.
Yeah. King was early too. So you really, I don't know. You're just a degenerate. You're not representative of the black culture, Jeff. You're an outlier.
Well, yeah. I mean, apparently I'm not because I'm not a thug. So you have to be a thug to be representative of a black culture these days. Isn't that true? Or that's what I heard.
That's so funny. I find it so funny because who did Blexit promote? R.I.P. But Kingface? Is that not exactly who they're accusing us all of being right now? Like R.I.P. R.I.P. I'm not even trying to shade him.
No, I know. I get what you're saying.
Even though I heard he's like not actually dead, I don't know the validity of those claims. Everyone, I don't know if y'all watch Triologic, but she has an interesting video on the topic. If you're interested. However, I feel like the conservatives, we didn't even do any intro. We'll do an intro first. Hey everyone, welcome back to my live. We're introducing, I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I spend half the time on Twitter shit posting under Jeff's tweets. But it's Jeff Charles, aka Jeff on the right, aka Black Putin, aka the king of the Carlton conservatives. I don't know how else to describe him, but I will let him introduce himself.
Yeah. I'm a contributor for redstate.com and libertynation.com. I have my own podcast called A Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles. And I have been known to do just a little bit of trolling on Twitter once every blue moon.
I haven't seen Black Putin in a while. Have you been posting on Black Putin?
Black Putin's kind of was taking a break. I haven't talked to him in a while. You know how much he gets on my nerves, and I'm sure he'll be popping up again. I mean, he loves the spotlight. Yeah, he's a total clout chaser. I can't stand him, but he will be back.
He's funnier than you, so I hope so.
Oh, that hurts.
Internationally known as well. Yes, the internationally known Jeff on the right. So that's his Twitter. Everybody go follow him if you don't already. But let's just jump into the topic of the video because I was actually you're basically the whole reason I even wanted to do this live stream. Like, I didn't really want to do with any other guests because you were the person that was talking about this the most, and you were talking about it before I did. You actually brought my attention to it because I've just been kind of shit posting on Twitter. I haven't been doing anything important like you. So explain to me what happened, because to me it seems very sudden, the switch in conservative messaging towards the Black community. I feel like it went from patronizing to straight up fucking racist in a very short amount of time, but maybe it's more gradual. I don't know. Maybe I haven't been paying attention to it. But what's your take?
Well, before I give my take, I am going to say that what you do is important. You do a lot of important things. Yes, you shit post a lot, but I mean, you've done a lot of videos. You've been doing a lot of writing, so don't sell yourself short. I'm not going to let you sell yourself short, even though I'm on your show. You do a lot of things that are important, and I think that going forward,
man, I'm sorry. King Randall's calling me right now. He knows I'm on live, bro.
What?
He knows I'm on live.
Now you have to forgive me for being late.
I know. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep complimenting me, please. I'm really mad at him for interrupting me.
No, seriously, you're going to do some great things. You're already doing great things, and you've got a whole world ahead of you. I think you're going to be doing a lot more great things. So I'll stop kissing your ass now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Usually my guests don't kiss my ass at all. They usually just drag me. So that's really nice of you.
Hey, yeah, I had to speak a word of encouragement. But as far as the conservative messaging, it may seem sudden. I mean, a lot of people have kind of indicated that to me before, but it's not sudden. I mean, this has been going on for decades. Like I always say, I've been a conservative for about 15 years, and I've watched conservative media, whether it's broadcast or online, and this type of messaging and these types of these types of rhetorical talking points, they've been around since before I was a conservative. I think we're just seeing more of it now because social media is a thing and everybody has more of a voice. It's been more democratized. You don't have to go on Fox News to say this stuff. You can just go on Twitter. You can film a live stream. You can go on YouTube and say certain things. And we also are able to consume news easier. So if you want to specifically look up videos of, for instance, of Black violence porn and Black people being violent, you can easily find that, and that makes
Bro, there's like compilations. There's entire compilations and shit on YouTube. Like people literally just watch it. They love it. They literally love it. I don't know why.
I am convinced that a lot of these pundits who shall remain nameless unless you name them.
Oh, I'm gonna name some. I'm gonna name some.
Okay, yeah.
The one I've seen most recently, who I didn't even know who the fuck this was until like 3 days ago, because he seems irrelevant. Apparently he's on Newsmax, but I don't know who the fuck John Cardillo is. But I blocked him today because he was annoying the fuck out of me. And literally every other, maybe more than every other post, it's like 2/3 of the post on his page is literally just Black violence, Black culture, Black thugs, Black. I'm like, well, what is your goal here? What is your goal? And he just like everyone just posts these like FBI crime statistics like it's some kind of fucking dunk. Like
he loves them. He loves them.
What am I supposed to do about that?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do about that?
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I'm very hesitant to use the word racist because we see how the left, what the left has done with it. And to me, this just throughout my life, it's a high bar that people have to reach for me to actually say, yeah, that guy's a racist or he's probably a racist. That I will say that about Cardillo because he posts this stuff. And the thing is, you can't read people's minds, but you can read their actions, right? And if you're just constantly posting the same type of content over and over and over again, and especially when it involves just one group, and you're not even talking about any kinds of solutions, or you're not even trying to understand what's going on here, there's no sense of curiosity, then I'm sorry, you have an agenda. Your goal is to make us look like thugs because you probably already believe that's what we are. So you're going to push content that reaffirms your worldview and that of others like you. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who posts those videos sometimes is racist. I'm talking specifically about him. So
but
I feel like a trend on the right.
If he had even like the most pure intentions, if he would just look at the comments of the people that follow him and the people that are like taking this shit to heart, then he would stop. But he doesn't. He supports. I mean, you go in the comments, you're going to see the N-word. You go in the comments and you're going to see, oh, these animals can't live in civilized society. We just need to ship them to fucking Africa. Like those are the types of people in his comments. So even if he was just like, I don't know what pure intention you could have from posting that all day, every day. But even if he himself is not racist, he attracts racists, he promotes racist. That's not on that. Yeah. There's a good comment in here because this is literally what I wrote about today. The white conservative response is more of a backlash due to the failure of Trump's reelection campaign. I don't think I blame Trump's reelection campaign because towards the end of his term, he started doing like the Black conservative roundtables with Sonny Johnson and Wayne Dupree, and it wasn't like so much geared to pandering to white conservatives to make them believe that Black conservatives are Republicans. It was more like, let's actually talk to these Black conservatives and see how we can bring more people over to the party. So I think in the beginning, the Trump administration was definitely just didn't know what they were doing in terms of Black outreach. And towards the very end, I mean, it was too little too late, but towards the very end, they did pick it up. But I did reference the kind of Blexit strategy, the Blexit method. And this isn't even just directly at the Blexit Foundation or directly at anyone involved in that, or even Candace herself. This is more of just like the method that popularized, just like kind of saying, you are too stupid, you are too brainwashed, you don't know what's going on, like don't vote in your best interest. What is your take on that, though? Because do you think that this is in part because that the Blexit strategy or the Trump administration failed, or what?
No, I think that this is a backlash to being called racist all the damn time. I think white conservatives are sick and tired of being called racist for no good reason. I've been seeing this for over a decade, and I empathize with that. I totally understand that. I understand that because I'm a Black man and I'm tired of being labeled by you guys a certain way. So I tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Black men, regardless of political affiliation, do have something in common with white conservatives. people lie about you all the time. So I understand why this is. But there's a productive way to respond to that, and then there's an unproductive way to respond to that. And I think that a lot of the ones who are doing so in an unproductive way, they need to be more educated on the issues that they're talking about. While I do think that there are a few who are just straight out racist, I don't think that applies to a lot of these folks who engage in this rhetoric. I honestly think that they've just heard one thing for years, and so they believe it because they haven't gotten a different point of view.
Right. Actually, that does make sense to me. And I've said this, I talk about like the kind of anti-white racism or anti-white bigotry somewhat often. I guess I should talk about it more. I feel like some people think I come across as like biased, I guess, because I'm all about like the pro-black stuff. And then, every once in a while I'll be like, hey, stop calling white people racist. So maybe I'll step it up a little bit. David asked a good question. What do you guys think about so-called Black conservatives like Jesse Lee Peterson? I think Black Putin wants to answer this question, maybe.
It's funny. I met Jesse Lee Peterson when I was younger. Yeah, it was. I was in like I think I was like 19, 20, 21. And my mom had taken me to a Republican meeting.
This was like 60 years ago. Okay.
See, my kids were just mocking me for my age too. I'm not that old.
Okay, but, whatever. Well, when you were like, I've been a conservative for 15 years, the first thing that popped into my head was, okay, Jeff's been a conservative since I was 5 years old. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. You are punishing me right now.
Okay, sorry. Carry on.
But yeah, I mean, I met him when I was younger, and it was interesting. I actually bought his book. I can't remember the name of it anymore. But he wasn't saying a lot of the crazy stuff that he said now. I didn't know that much about him. And I read his book and I was like, okay, there's some good points in here. And then some stuff I'm not so sure about. But, as time went on and I see some of the things that he says, I still can't figure out how. First off, I will say I don't take him seriously. Now, that doesn't mean he's not
a troll,
being serious.
For sure. He's a troll for sure.
He is a troll, but I don't know whether he's trolling on purpose or if he actually believes this stuff. Either way, I don't take him seriously because none of his opinions are worth taking seriously. Yeah. So, I mean, I see him more as like an entertainer. But again, just like Cardillo, he throws that red meat. He knows who likes hearing what he has to say. And he knows, and he's from the old school. So he knows he's been part of that messaging from the beginning. So he knows that trashing Black people is always going to get you a certain audience on the right. I think that's what he's doing. I don't think he's actually trying to make a difference as far as bringing Black people over to the right. I do know that he has his ministry called Bond. And from what I've seen, what I've heard about it, if that's what he's doing, it's a good thing. But I don't think he's really interested in more Black people coming to the right. I think he just wants to get that back. No,
absolutely not. He's like the worst offender. It's crazy. He's like the most racist person and he's fucking Black. Oh shit. I got fucking super chat. Shout out. How do you all like getting sent to the back of the bus right after Commander Biden got elected? I don't know because I'm not even Black anymore because I didn't vote for him. So I'm actually at the front of the bus. So joke's on you.
Yeah, you tell us. I don't expect anything from Biden.
I can't relate to that. I really can't relate to that. Y'all be easy now, but I'm not at the back of the bus. Where does Jeff see the Republican Party in the next 10 to 20 years?
Either competitive or destroyed. And it all depends on the decisions that they start making right now.
Nothing in between.
If they continue doing what they're doing right now, I don't see how they survive in 10 to 20 years. I don't think that they'll be completely gone, but the Democrats will be dominant. And I don't think that there's going to be a third party that rises up to take their place. It depends on the decisions. It is scary. I mean, and it's not even just about the racial issue, but even if we're just looking at it, how long are they going to be able to rely on primarily on white voters? And that's it. How long can they continue to ignore minority communities? It's not going to work.
Not very long. Demographics are changing.
Yeah,
some Republicans see that. Some Republicans see that, and their response to that is to just shut down immigration. But they don't want to fix their messaging. I don't understand why. I mean, I feel like immigration reform is like I support a strong border, but if you're going to just do that and not fix the fact that it's about to become a majority or minority majority country. I don't know which one comes first. Right, it's about to become that. So
20 to 30 years, basically that same time period.
This
Yeah.
is the face of America. Everyone's going to be mixed. There's not going to be race anymore. It's just going to be awful. Says the alt-right.
Right.
I love how they say that. I literally love how they're like, they're destroying our race. Okay, sure, I
White
guess.
people aren't going anywhere. Don't worry about it. Y'all
No,
get it.
and the one thing when people are like, "Oh, white genocide is race mixing," I'm like, "Isn't that black genocide too?" If you use that logic, I really don't
They
understand
don't
that.
have. They're not using logic.
Are they trying to say that like black genes are like more superior and it just kind of like washes out the white? Because if that was the case, I would not get sunburnt. But that is the case. I do get sunburnt.
I don't.
So yeah, fuck you. I don't understand their logic. Anyways, so if you had to talk to a Republican strategist and give them like some tips and pointers on how to change the messaging, what would you say?
The first thing I would say is whatever messaging you use, aside from the plantation talk, do it face to face as much as possible. One of the problems that we have is that we say a lot of the things that we say from a distance. And, and nowadays you can talk to people in a Black community through mediums like this. So do it face to face, talk to them straight up instead of just saying stuff about them. Talk to them, not about them. I would say to treat them the way that you treat white voters. This isn't complicated. This isn't hard to understand. You should listen more than you talk. You should find out what the issues that they're facing are, what they feel are their biggest obstacles, and then you apply a conservative solution. You treat them like fellow citizens. You treat them with dignity, just like you do to white voters, and understand that this is going to take a while. The Republican Party worked hard to destroy the trust that the Black community had in them. It's going to take a while to bring it back. So if you run people in Black areas and they lose tomorrow, don't use that as an excuse to stop. Recognize this is going to take 5, 10, 15, maybe even 15 years of concerted effort to rebuild that trust. And the other thing I would say is to talk about what we bring to the table. Don't just slam Democrats. Don't just slam socialism. There's a place for that. But you should be selling what we have to offer more often than you're bashing the Democrats. They already know who the Democrats are. They want to see how we can make a difference.
Right. No, I completely agree. I mean, I saw a lot of people on the right who were like more of like the racist types, and they were talking shit about Kimberly Klacik, who I actually like a lot. And they were like, oh, even the Black Republican cannot win in Baltimore. Like, Black people are hopeless. Baltimore is hopeless. Like, the hood is hopeless. They're never going to vote Republican. We'll just, like, give up on the Black community. And this is kind of stuff that's pushed by, like, I don't know. I see it all over, like, the Groyper pages, like, all of the America First people. I'm like, you guys give a bad name, a horrible name. And I'm just like, there were some things that I feel like could have definitely been improved upon on Kim's strategy. And I'd be glad to talk to her about it too, because like that's my friend. But I feel like she would have had much better success if she ran for city council or mayor, because in that way you wouldn't need a big national presidential endorsement. You wouldn't need to tie your campaign to the Trump train. That wasn't really what the people of Baltimore were looking for. I think the people of Baltimore might have been looking for a change. I think after, before Elijah Cummings passed away, he was still getting a lot of flack. He was still getting a lot of criticism. And I think after the whole like Baltimore cleanup thing where Scott Presser came down, and that's actually where I met Kimberly Klacik for the first time at the Baltimore cleanup. And this was before she even decided to run for Congress. That's where we became friends, and that caused a lot of criticism towards Elijah Cummings. So I think the people of Baltimore were ready for a change, maybe not for a Republican, and definitely not for a huge big Trump supporter. Right. And that's nothing negative about Kim. That's just the demographics of the city. So like you said, it takes years. And I don't think that shooting for like really big seats, to suddenly overturn a seat that has literally never been Republican. I mean, Maryland District 7 has never been Republican ever. So It's like, it takes time. And so I'm glad that Kim is not like done with politics and stuff, but it really pissed me off to see Republicans just be like, fuck it. Like, they didn't want Republicans. Even if you send one of them, one of the good ones over there, they don't listen to the good ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. There's been a couple cases like that this past year. Angela Stanton King's another one. I don't see a Republican winning in that district either. I don't know. What's your take on this? I mean, I know you said it's going to take time, but what sort of seats should Republicans be running for in these communities?
Honestly, it's just what you said. We need to focus locally. I mean, if you come out of nowhere and you're running for Senate or for Congress and they don't know who you are, you're probably not going to win. I'm not saying that that's the case in every single case. There might be races where it is appropriate to go ahead and run for that House seat, but you got to read the room. Tying, I mean, and this goes for any candidate, not just Klasick, but tying yourself so heavily to Trump, it's a bad idea if you're running in a predominantly Black area. I think we need to just come to terms with the fact that Black people didn't like Trump like that. There were a lot who do, but most didn't. So if you know that, then being so all about Trump isn't going to help you. People want to hear about what you're going to do. They don't want to hear about how you feel about Trump. They don't care about that. They don't like him, but they might like you. So talk about what you're going to do. Talk about the policies that you're going to do.
Kim's really likable too. I think other than the Trump thing, I mean, she was a pretty good candidate in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people hated her for a bunch of different stuff, and she wasn't, I'm not gonna say she's a perfect candidate, but I mean, if she had come across as slightly less Republican, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, I mean, and again, if somebody like her or other people would run for local office, whether it's, school board or city council or mayor, and you manage to get elected to one of those seats, now you can get in there and show people what you're about, so that however many 2, 3, 4, or 5 years you've put in the work and people know who you are. Now they're like, okay, she did this, and this when she was an assembly member. Maybe I should give her a shot at Senate. Or even if you're not running for local office, be involved in the community. Like somebody like Shakem Ameneket. I mean, he's very involved in his community. He does a lot. Very much deep roots in his community. They know who he is. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really needed to have him on the channel. And I was looking on his Facebook the other day, and I didn't even realize how much stuff I was missing, because I think Twitter shadow banned him or something, because all his projects and stuff, I've seen more of it on Facebook than on Twitter. And I want to post about it
a little bit more often.
Yeah. I am on there like once a week. Like, that's for old people. But since, all you old people and all these old conservative, old heads and shit are on there, sometimes I go on, but not very often. Shout out Austin for the super chat again. What the heck? What did I do to deserve this? Trump should have campaigned in Compton. I'm not sure about that. My guy. There's a couple reasons why I'm not sure about that. And I think they're all pretty obvious. Another cool comment. The Republicans need to stop giving up as soon as they lose a district. See Georgia 6 and 7. Don't even get me started in Georgia. What really pissed me off about Georgia is the fact that they gave us the worst fucking candidates to work with for Senate. Sure did. Literally, I was not very happy to be fucking in ass crack Georgia. Actually, it wasn't ass crack Georgia, it was Savannah, but whatever. It's ass crack to me. I was not happy to be in Savannah over the entire winter doing that shit every day for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. Like, I'm sorry. When people would ask me, because everyone's like, oh, what do they do? Like, what are their big issues? I'm like, oh, well, she is an insider trader, and I don't know what he does at all. So I hope we win your vote, sir or ma'am. Like, there was really nothing. What was I supposed to say? They were so boring.
You can't lie to them. I mean, and yeah, they are boring. They have baggage. It was a horrible idea to even install Loeffler as senator anyway. But that's the thing. I mean, that's why they call the GOP the party of the stupid. We do stupid shit. So it doesn't surprise me. But there is one thing that is encouraging about that race. We had the worst candidaats, and the Democrats still barely won. And it took them 10 years to do it. Yeah, people think that win came out of nowhere.
It was razor thin.
Yeah, razor thin. And that was 10 years in the making. So yeah, we can't sleep on the Democrats because they've been working for 10 years. But still, even with that, they barely won when they ran against horrible candidates. The GOP has an opportunity to take that back. It's not blue. It's not blue yet.
It is not. It is not, because the fact that a black pastor from the church that Martin Luther King was at barely won against Kelly fucking Loeffler. That's not a blue state. That is not a blue state. He Literally, he barely won. And then the margin between Purdue and Ossoff was even smaller. So, I mean, we were sitting in the hotel room watching it on Fox, and we were just like, well, like, what do you? We really had nothing to work with. We did our best, but we really had nothing to work with. We were hitting a lot of doors. We were hitting like 200 doors a day or more.
Well, one thing too is that, I mean, Republicans weren't enthusiastic. I think I read something that 500,000 Republican votes didn't show up this time, that would normally have showed up. And there was a lot of things that came into that. There was a whole voter fraud issue, and then there's the whole, the Stop the Steal movement saying, "Oh, don't vote because your votes don't count anyway." I think there were a lot.
Like, who was that? Because I saw Lynn Wood say something like that, but I don't know who else was pushing that. Was that like a wide movement or what?
Apparently it was more influential than I thought. I mean, I don't think it gained too much traction, but it was Lynn Wood, Ali Alexander, a lot of leaders in that Stop the Steal movement.
Is he in jail? Is he in prison yet? He is like the griftiest of the grifters. He should have won a fucking Grifty Award. I don't know what his deal is. He literally is always on some shit.
Yeah, I think he's banned from Twitter, but he's mostly off the grid. It sounds like I don't know if he's on the run. I don't know if the authorities are even looking for him. But yeah, he was one of the main people, and he was grifting the whole time. Like he was doing what he felt like he needed to do. I don't know what his issue was. I talked to him on Twitter. I tried to reason with him, but other people did too. But you even had Donald Trump Jr. saying that this is a stupid idea. You need to go out and vote. But people didn't listen because they were so much on that, our votes don't count kick, that it gave Democrats the victory. So these were some unusual circumstances, right? So I don't think that we need to lose hope. The GOP still controls the state legislature, the governorship, although, I mean, with the voting law, that might not happen, but who knows? At this point, the Democrats might do something stupid enough to keep Republicans in power.
Yeah, it's very possible. And I mean, y'all don't understand how crazy that loss was, because I mean, I knew it would be close, but a lot of people on my team, they were like, we are going to smash this. And I was like, why? They're really not that interesting. When I was going around, I had a lot of positive interactions, but Savannah is mostly blue. So it wasn't like I really had a good idea of how the rest of Georgia was going to vote, because I mean, the majority of the days we were like in downtown Savannah, like literally like on the river and shit. But, there's days where I was out. I don't know if you guys know Georgia, but we were out towards like Thunderbolt, which is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like a trailer park next to the beach. And it was definitely more well received there, except for that's the place where I got the cops caught on me. So I'm not sure. That was a little crazy too. I was literally detained for like a half hour.
What?
And the cops didn't even, the craziest part about this was, maybe Will's watching because sometimes he watches my live streams, but he was one of my main knocking partners because he had a car. I don't have a car. So he would like drop me off in a neighborhood and like circle back when I was done hitting how many houses. And one day we're at a walk books in the app. We're just like, we're going to split this one neighborhood in Thunderbolt, pretty small, like beachy neighborhood. It was really nice neighborhood, dogs and kids outside and shit, like really nothing to it. And I'm being well received in the neighborhood. And then a black police officer in like kind of like an old timey like state trooper car rolls up, and he's like, "Hey, you're handing stuff out?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." I like hold up the lip, and he's like, "Okay." Then he pulls in front of me like 20 feet, and then he parks, but he doesn't say anything else to me. He's just like, "Okay." Then a really, really obese fucking white police officer pulls up to me in a newer police car that says Thunderbolt Savannah Police, and he's like, "You are out here soliciting. You need to stop." I'm like, "Do I have to call my superior?" Like, and he's like, "Y'all don't have a permit." I was like, "I don't think we need a permit, but if we need a permit, we definitely have one because we're a pack." Like,
right.
Like, it's not like we just go. It's like an official thing. And he's like, "No, you guys have a permit." And so he calls his superior, this lady on the phone, and she's like, "We don't need a permit for that. They're not selling anything." And he's on speaker with her. Then he puts off speaker and he's like, "Yes, they do." Like, he was so embarrassed. Right. I was hearing their conversation, which I recorded. That shit's all on my channel if you guys want to watch. I did a day in the life of a Senate door knocker vlog a couple months back. But yeah, he was having a really hard time with his own authority. And so I'm arguing back and forth with him. Then Will, my white male counterpart runs up to me and he's like, this lady called the cops on me, and the cops came and said, and talked to me, and then rolled right past, and then they stopped you. So I'm like, whoa. He finished knocking the rest of the street. He was not detained. They came up and stopped me, even though the cops were called on him. So at this point, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm filming the whole time, blatantly filming. I'm literally like this. Like, do you want me to call my superior, sir? And then he gets off the phone and he's like, you guys don't need a permit. Have a great day. And the craziest part was that he clearly didn't know the law, because if y'all don't know, solicitation only applies if you're selling something.
Right.
The limitation, like the First Amendment protects religious canvassing and political canvassing. So you're allowed to talk about your opinions all you want until people kick you off your property. So of course I don't like trespass on private property, but you're allowed to go door knocking. You're allowed to talk to people on the street. You're allowed to hand stuff out. And he also told me that I should be putting the literature in mailboxes, which is also an offense. That's a federal offense. You cannot put shit in people's mailboxes. That's not United States Postal Service marked mail. You can't do that shit. So I don't know if he was trying to entrap me. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about, but yeah, sorry we got off track, but that was my experience door knocking in fucking Savannah, Georgia. That was, and to go through all that shit and to lose that race, that's what pissed me off the most. And everyone was like, no, Libby, we got this in the bag. I was like, no, we do not. It's going to be very close. I still thought we were going to win, but because, I mean, to every person I was talking to, I was like, this is the fight of the Republicans' lives. Like, we need to keep the Senate. And there was tons of people I talked to actually that were like, I don't really care for Purdue. I don't really care for Loeffler, but, just to keep the Senate, I'll vote. So that's why I thought that it might work out for us, but it was not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was going to be close. I was like you. I thought that we were going to win, but it was going to be just by a little bit. Could have gone either way, and it did.
Oh my God. So I got so derailed off that one comment that was like, I'm so mad at Republicans in Georgia, and that literally just launched me into a tirade.
I think a lot of us are mad at Republicans in Georgia.
Yeah, I'm just like, what do we even do? Because in my article I posted today, at the end, I was like, here are some free tips for Republicans. You actually have to listen to Black people. I mean, when like the Blexit Foundation's fans it seems like they're majority white. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Maybe it's like half Black. I've actually been to one Blexit event and it was probably like half Black. And that's counting all the halvesies like me. So really it's like a quarter Black. So I was just like, it wasn't a bad event. Like, I actually enjoyed the event. This was back when I actually liked speakers like Officer Tantrum and like Rob Smith and stuff. But like I had fun. I was like, oh hell yeah. And I met Joel Patrick there. I've actually met him a couple times, but we took a sick picture in Blexit shirts. Please don't Google it, guys. But if you do Google it, you can definitely find it. Because
there's definitely wearing the I Pick Cotton shirt at
yeah. There's definitely a picture of me out there wearing Blexit shirts with Joel Patrick. I love him though. That's my dude. No, listen, I think he's actually a cool person, like in real life, but I need to text him and be like, you got to stop with the shirts, dude. I can't like associate myself with you anymore. Somebody said ... halvesies. Yes, halvesies. That's what I call myself. The Alchemist says, stop being defensive, go offensive, drop the talking points, listen to the people, and reach compromise, etc. That's what I would like to see. I would love to see some compromise being reached, because I feel like, and this just happened recently, I feel like conservatives are slightly waking up to the fact that the state is not always on their side, and that law enforcement is almost never on their side. Because conservatives are always like, historically, they've been like, we don't trust the government, we don't trust Congress, we don't trust the president, we don't trust anybody except for military and law enforcement, the people that enforce the government with force. So I think they're waking up to that now, and I feel like if we have some compromise on issues such as criminal justice reform, that would appeal to a lot of Black people. I think if we had some compromise on issues such as the war on drugs, that would appeal to a lot of Black people. And I don't even know if I don't know if they're hearing that. I feel like maybe my message would be better spent talking to the Libertarian Party on things like that, because they already talk about shit like criminal justice reform, and they already talk about shit like the war on drugs. They could just market it to Black people. I could see that being an option as well.
But
I
I
think
think, yeah,
go ahead.
but I do think that the libertarian movement has had a very profound impact on the conservative movement. I can tell you from when I first became a conservative up until now, we are a lot more libertarian than we were back then. I think the Alchemist is right. I mean, stop listening to the talking heads and start listening to actual Black people living in Black communities who are dealing with Black issues. And that could be in a place that's more ghetto, or it could be in the suburbs, because a lot of Black people live in the suburbs. Just start talking to them. It's not rocket science. Or look
It's really
for
not.
or prop up Black conservative pundits who actually do talk to Black people, or at least are willing to, or to use their platforms to talk about these issues in a way that's honest. But as long as you keep embracing the lies, because I'm sorry, white conservatives, you are being lied to. You've been lied to for decades, and they're the ones making you look like racists. If you actually pull away from that and actually start digging into this stuff, or at least listening to people who do, you will have a better understanding as to what the conservative movement needs to do to approach the Black community. Because the onus is on the GOP to go to the Black community. It's not the other way around. Because I've seen other people say, well, why don't Black people just come to the Republican Party and ask to talk? Well, no, this is politics. If you want to win votes, you go to them.
That is not how it works.
Yeah. Do you run your business that way? Do you just wait for people to come? No, you advertise. You go on the radio. You go into neighborhoods. You have salespeople. So stop being stupid and just go and do a lot of what the Democrats are doing without the pandering.
Exactly. And it's crazy how much they kick and scream when you tell them shit like that. They would literally rather exclusively prop up Candace, who I don't think should be deplatformed, but they exclusively prop her up when the majority of the Black community is like, we would like other options. And they're just like, shut the fuck up and take this shit in your face, and that's all you get. That's not how you win. And there was another interesting comment. Amanda said, I wish we could merge libertarians and Republicans. I don't know if merging parties would be great, because I think there should be a third option to just always have that threat hanging over the GOP's head. Because when the Republicans were busy losing in Georgia, Shane Hazel, a libertarian candidate, was blamed for the Republicans' loss. If you guys have to follow Shane Hazel on Twitter, libertarian candidate from Georgia. But once I think it was a gubernatorial race. I can't remember, or congressional. But it was like once the race was done, the GOP boardroom, they literally leaked an image from the GOP committee boardroom that was like, reasons we lost this election: libertarians, Shane Hazel, like marijuana. It was like, blame yourselves. You didn't lose to the libertarians, you lost to the Democrats. Blame yourselves. Blame the Democrats. But it was crazy how the top 3 reasons were just blaming the libertarians. So I feel like we can't merge the parties. We always need to have that threat of libertarians messing up Republicans at elections, because I think it kind of flexes the power a little bit. But people ask me all the time, how do you what's the future of libertarianism? How do we promote liberty currently when the LP has no power, essentially? And I'm like, I'm definitely pro libertarians infiltrating the GOP. I feel like when I eventually run, I'll probably be forced to run as a Republican, because that's just the only way people get elected, because we do live in a 2-party duopoly. But yeah, I do support libertarians kind of, registering as a Republican. I'm currently not. But
I would like to see that too, even though I'm not a full libertarian, but I would love to see that. I mean, Dave Smith and some other guy in the libertarian movement had a debate on that very issue. Should we try to take over the GOP, or should we just stay with the LP? It was a very interesting conversation. And I wanted to ask you,
hold on. Here's my beef with Dave Smith, because everyone was telling me to watch him. I really didn't know who he was until this past couple months, when I've been more on to Liberty Twitter. And I watched him for a little bit. I find him to be funny. I don't think he's a stupid guy or anything. He comes across a little bit aggressive on Twitter, but I can see why. I think he has a lot of people just attacking him, in bad faith all the time. And then I see these videos of him talking about racial IQ disparities, and that turned me off. I don't know. I don't want to follow somebody who thinks that I'm dumb. Why? I don't know. It was crazy, because he's very friendly with Nick Fuentes and very friendly with Stefan Molyneux, and I'm just like, I don't fuck with that. I really don't. What's your take, Jeff?
Well, I mean, I watched the clip that you sent, and if I didn't hear what he had said on the issue before, I might be more on that camp. I still, to this day, don't really know exactly what he thinks about that, because he sounds kind of
agnostic. He said he believes in it. He said it's a fact, and he said it's a scientific fact in that clip.
Well, I think from what I heard, and I have to listen to it again, it's not like he's saying, if this is a fact, if it is, then what do we do about it? But then I've also heard him say on his podcast, like, I'm not sure, what this is. It sounds like he's kind of trying to straddle the fence on it, which does kind of annoy me. He
definitely is. The people in the comments were like, you need to be honest about the blacks' low IQ. Like, people in the comments were so racist. I'm not saying he's a racist. I'm just saying that he's very friendly with that camp. And I'm just like, I don't like to be in that proximity, I guess.
Yeah, he's definitely not a racist. But I mean, he's had Hotep Jesus on his show. He's probably got black friends. But
I'm about to slap you.
But I mean, I think honestly, I don't think he's really dove into the issue, so he doesn't really want to weigh in on it. I'm not even sure how much he even cares about the issue. But at the same time,
I didn't get the impression that he did care too much. He even said in the clip, he was like, "That's not one of the things that I really talk about very much." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it very much at all.
But I thought it was interesting that the clip was titled "Race and IQ" and Stefan Molyneux. I was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to think from that? Yeah. The Alchemist said, how does Jeff feel about those who call him a fence straddler on Twitter? I think he needs more fire with his tweets.
More fire? Wow, okay.
I feel like he comes at people an adequate amount. I don't know. I don't think he's a fence straddler, but I'll let him answer.
I will say this. Anybody who thinks I'm a fence straddler is either dishonest, or they haven't been paying attention, or they just haven't followed me for long enough to actually see me flesh out my opinions, especially because there's a difference between my Twitter and what I write in Red State or Liberty Nation. On Liberty Nation or in Red State, I'm attacking the left quite a bit. Like 90% of my articles are going after the left. On Twitter is where I will go more at the right and the left. So here's what I say about that. I think some people have a problem when you don't fit in a box. And the thing is, I'm not a centrist. I am on the right. I'm a conservatarian. But people have trouble understanding the concept that doesn't mean that if I see somebody on the right doing something wrong, I'm not going to say anything because they're on the right. I'm not in love with the Republican Party. I'm a conservatarian before I'm a Republican. So if I see Republicans messing up, I'm going to say something about it. If you look at my views, they are consistently on the right. I don't have a whole lot of liberal views. I have libertarian views, but I mean, a fence straddler is really afraid to express an opinion one way or the other. That's not me. If you give me an issue, and if I feel like I know the issue well enough to speak intelligently on it, I'm going to give you my opinion, and I'm not going to care what you think about it. I'm not going to care who it pisses off.
I can see that. You're definitely very opinionated, possibly to a fault, but yeah. I don't think you're a fence straddler. And it's kind of funny because I think you come at the left even harder than I do sometimes, because I feel like when I get rude comments from people on the right, I'll like come at them and I'll be like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're a bad example for conservatives. When I get a rude comment from somebody on the left, I just kind of laugh and just troll them a little bit. But you were like, I always see you having fights with like the same 4 fucking black Democrats on your page all the time. They're all like, Jeff, you're dishonest. Jeff,
they love me.
Jeff, like, why do they follow you if they hate you so much? I blocked all of them. Every time I see you on the timeline, it's like, Jeff, you can't see this account. Jeff, you can't see this account, because I blocked them all. I don't like them at all. But I want to know why they're always arguing with you.
Yeah. So when I said that some people are dishonest and some people just haven't followed me long enough, they are dishonest. They don't. They don't care what I think about an issue. If I agree with them on something, they're not going to care. They're going to find something wrong with it. Here's what I think is bothering them. And by the way, a lot of people in that fam, there are a few that I actually talked to that I DM with. We're friendly with one another because
there were some I used to be friendly with them, and then they one time, I never do this. I've done this like 3 times, but I name searched myself, and they were all talking shit about me. I was like, damn, I thought like I was like mutuals with them, but because they like didn't tag me, I just never saw it. But they were all talking shit about me. I was like, okay, bye.
Most of them are nuts. Most of them are just very extremely partisan, and the others are partisan too, but they're at least willing to be friendly and come at, they'll approach me in a way that's civil. So I give them the same energy that they give back to me. Here's why I think they don't like me. because when they first discovered me, they were like, okay, he criticizes the right or whatever or whatnot. They hated the fact that I didn't hate Trump, but here's what it is: they can't put me in a box. I'm not Candace Owens. I'm not Brandon Tatum. If I were one of those people, it would be so much easier for them. It would be so much easier. There would be no cognitive dissonance because that's what they're used to. And I think they either want me to be that or be on the left. I'm neither. So I will express an opinion that they might agree with, and then another one that they don't. And since they're so hyper partisan, they can't put that together. A lot of them will claim that they're independents or that they'll criticize Democrats. They're lying. They don't criticize Democrats. They don't criticize Biden. They get all kinds of butthurt whenever I criticize Biden. And
it's
that's
literally the same people. If you look at, it's the same people who are like, I've seen it. Anytime somebody on the left is like, hey, kids are still in cages, it's literally the same people like, he's only been in office for 2 months. You have to give him some time. It's like, I've seen the same people, the same fucking ABIs over and over and over again. It's the same people.
They are just like they're like MAGA for Biden, like blue MAGA. They love them. So if
that's why they call it blue and on. It's the blue and on people.
See, and when Trump was around, then they still didn't like me, but at least they see me attack Trump sometimes. But now that their guy is in office and I have nothing but smoke for him, it rocked their worlds. They hated it. They get so whiny about it, and they're not really serious people. They don't have any points to make. If you notice, they don't have anything to offer. They don't say anything intelligent. They don't engage in conversation, but they pretend like they do. So they've kind of built themselves up in their own minds that they're these high class intellectuals. No, you're just like the same other jokers that are the SJW types, like that. And so the only time I interact with them is if I'm making fun of them, because that's all they're good for.
Sometimes you be replying too much. I'm like, this is my whole timeline, and you've quote tweeted them like 16 different times, and I'm just like,
because they're funny sometimes. I mean, they're hilarious.
It is funny. It is funny, but your followers need a break, and I'm speaking for all of them. I'm sent here on their behalf.
All right. I won't respond.
The Biden voters posting L's account shows that picture clearly. They blocked me. That account blocked me.
Really?
Yeah, because. So they have a bad habit of posting random Black people complaining about Biden, just assuming that those people voted for Biden, and that upsets me because they posted Rhonda Mary on there, and I don't know if you guys know who Rhonda Mary is. She's a Black woman, conservative YouTuber. She spoke at the Solutionary Summit. She is kind of a libertarian, conservatarian type person as well. Very, very anti-big government. And I think she said something complaining about like BLM or the lockdowns or some shit. And they screenshotted that post, posted it, and was like, oh, like, look, now the comments are like, look at these Black people voting for Biden. And I called them out for it. And now I think we're mutually blocked. I honestly forgot who blocked the other first, but I unblocked. I unblocked from the Biden voters posting L's account. No, I don't think so. She even commented on it.
They're lying about her, basically. Like,
yeah, she commented on it. She was like, take this shit down. And they never replied to her as far as I know. So yeah, that's why I don't like the gimmick accounts anymore. They used to be funny. It's like so-and-so posting their L's. Another one was journalists posting their L's. And then they posted something about so I used to work at the Daily Caller. Now I freelance for them, but like very not frequently at all. But one of the girls I work with there, who's super nice, she was dealing with like some mental health issues and like all kind of shit back home. And she posted, I'm leaving DC, I'm moving back home. And they fucking screenshot that shit, posted on their account. They're like, look at these like liberal white women journalists moving back home. I'm like, she's fucking conservative. She works at the Daily Caller. Like, these gimmick accounts don't do their research. Yeah, these gimmick accounts don't do their research at all. Whoever runs that account is probably younger than you, Olivia. I don't know. I'm pretty young, but I don't know. Probably.
It could be true, but I'm sorry, that's stupid. Like, if somebody tells you that I'm not a Biden voter, take that down, then don't be a dick about it. Just take it down. Like, you're not going to
literally just random Black people. And you can see if they had even clicked on her page and went to her bio, looked at her pinned tweets, looked at any of her tweets,
it's obvious.
Would see she is not it's like they literally just looked at her profile picture, saw she's a Black woman, and posted that. That's it. David. Why is this not loading? I feel like Republicans purposely shoot themselves in the foot by continually handling crazies like Marjorie Taylor Greene with kid gloves. I do not like her one bit. I don't like her one bit. Originally, I was like, okay, she's like kind of kooky. I don't think she's gonna win. And then she won, so I was like, oh fuck. And then I saw that she was a QAnon person, so that got me a little bit worried. But I didn't think she was like actually a bad person until I saw like her old like not even old, like from a couple years ago, Facebook posts brought up where she's talking about QAnon and she's doing the black violence porn and all that shit. So yeah, I don't know. I know I already know your take on MTG, but why don't you tell the audience?
Yeah, I'm not into her. She's a performance artist, in my opinion. I mean, and it's unfortunate because we wonder why the Republican Party doesn't do anything when they have power. Well, right now they're focused more on celebrity. I just said on the Black Roundtable, right? People on the right are treating DC like it's Hollywood, so they're all enraptured with these people who know how to pull these stunts, like filing articles of impeachment against Biden, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere. She did it because she wanted to get attention, and that's why she's in Congress. I mean, I know I'm probably going to make some people mad here, but like Lauren Boebert, which I haven't fully made up my mind on her yet.
Me neither.
But
me neither.
Yeah, but that whole thing where she did a Zoom conference with a gun in the background, we knew what she was doing. She did that on purpose because she wanted the left to whine about it, so she can say, "Oh, look what the left's doing." Like at a certain point, like I get that we have political theater. It's been around since the beginning of politics, but it's like political theater on the right is replacing policy. But what policies has Marjorie Taylor Greene put forward? What about the other?
The one thing I have seen is the immigration moratorium. I think she does support that. That's the only policy I've seen.
Well,
but yeah, Lauren Boebert, I 100% agree with her. Right, as a 5 foot tall, fucking 75-pound, tiny ass woman, that she can have a gun and she's a public figure in a dangerous city. I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But she goes about it in a weird ass way, and I know she doesn't have to because I think she's making a big fuss about it. Because after the Capitol riots happened on January 6th, Thomas Massey tweeted, "We're safe and I'm armed." And I'm like, I didn't know Massey carried on the Capitol. I didn't know that at all. More. You would never know because he doesn't make a big fucking deal about it. But she's like Kim Klacik style videos of her walking around, but she has a gun. I'm like, Massey literally had a gun in his office, according to him, and that was the only time I've ever known that Massey carried on the Hill. So that was just stupid.
I don't care if you carry a gun. I care about what you're going to do in Congress. And like, we need to get out of this mode where we're just so focused on political theater that we actually think these people are doing something when they're not. I wrote an article about MTG criticizing her, and you wouldn't believe the comments and the emails that I got. They're like, "Oh, she's fighting for us. She's doing this or that, or she's
on Twitter." If she deleted her Twitter, what would you know about her? If she deleted her Twitter, what would you know?
That's exactly right. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do you think she's doing? Tell me what she's doing. She's not doing anything. She's playing to you because she likes the attention, and she's probably going to leverage that for something else. So instead of focusing on her, focus on people who are actually doing something.
Absolutely. But that leads me to a question. Who are your favorite freshman Congress people? Because we've already talked about the ones that we hate. So do you like anybody?
Honestly, I don't. And it's not anything against them. It's because I need to see what they're going to do first. I mean, Byron Donald seems promising. But again, he seems promising. I'm so far. I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing there. My mind might change on Lauren Boebert if she gets out of the theater mode and starts actually. I mean, she is a charismatic person. She has that gift. So I'm watching her, and then there's some of the others whose names I don't know, but I'm watching. So I can't say that I like them because they haven't done anything yet, and they're still new. So I'm gonna wait and see.
What about my man Burgess?
I am glad he got elected and that a Democrat didn't get elected.
Something nice. Say something nice, everybody.
That's the nice thing I'll say about him. We've gotten into it before. I mean, he's done the plantation talk.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he's down with the plantation talk. I'm sure he's a decent guy.
He is.
But we got him.
He is.
He had blocked me
him before.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he unblocked me, and I know he has other people blocked. So I don't know what that is. I haven't said anything about him. This is probably the first time.
Blocked on his government account?
No, it was before
like when he had his personal account before he was in office.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I feel like that's illegal.
Well, yeah, I don't know if because there are people who are still blocked on that personal account. I know that, But I don't know. I mean, I haven't interacted with him since this was like a couple years ago, so he probably forgot who I am. I'm sure he's going to push for conservative legislation, so I will appreciate that. But as far as messaging on the Black community, I can't get down with it. But like I said, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
He's old school for sure.
Yeah.
I was on like a virtual walkaway panel with him one time, like a year or two ago, I guess. And I'm trying to remember who else was on it. I think it was Maj Toure and Joy Villa, and damn, there were some other Black people. Yeah, there were some other Black people on there. I forgot, but he was really nice on there, and we disagreed. Y'all can find the stream somewhere. It's on the Walkaway channel, I guess. But we disagreed, and then afterwards he had posted. Oh, and he prayed for all of us at the end. That was like the weird thing, cool. But I thought it was nice. He like prayed for everyone, even though we all disagreed. And then he like I posted a link at the end on Twitter, and then he like commented some shit like, "Oh, you're like a very bright young lady. Like we disagree, but like I appreciate it." Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know what y'all got into. I don't know what you got into him about.
It was a plantation stuff. So maybe he is just old school. At least I can say this. Yeah. At least he's at least based on what you just said, he seems sincere and he's not just trying to grift. That's a good thing. I may disagree with him on the other stuff, but yeah.
If I feel like his actual ideas were good, he's nowhere on the level of like JLP or anyone like that. Like he's not. He doesn't hate him. He's not self-hating. He's not like racist or anything.
Yeah.
I got another super chat. Whoa, from K Booty. Thank you so much, K Booty. Our political parties need to break up like AT&T and get back to doing their jobs instead of promoting the interests of their respective cults. I really appreciate this comment. I really appreciate this username. Thank you for that.
K Booty.
Really love that. And he said, and by cults, I agree. I'm pro 2A, but I don't care for Maj. Why would you say something like that?
Ooh.
Honestly, okay, here's what I'll say. I like Maj, and I'm friends with Maj. But I can see how people who just like who are new followers of his would be like, why is this dude so aggressive? You know, like why is this dude like quote tweeting people all the time? And I don't mean like aggressive, like physically aggressive. I mean just like on Twitter. Like I feel like he's very quick to drag anybody that disagrees with him, and I kind of love that. But I can see how other people don't.
He doesn't seem that aggressive to me. I mean, he'll drag him, but he's not like going crazy.
Oh, I mean, like when he's calling Roland Martin, like he called Roland Martin like a chunky neck the other day or some shit. And I'm not gonna say that he's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong. Roland Martin does have a chunky neck, and he's gonna. I feel like sometimes he does. I feel like sometimes he trolls so much and he name searches so much, and he has like these little minions that find shit for him, and he's gonna eventually find this like in like 5 years and like drag me for it. Yep. But I'm sorry, I agree with Maj, and I'm really pissed at Roland for trying to drag King Randall. That was really that was low. And that video he posted got like 100,000 views, and like all the comments were pro King. So I was like, look, Roland's own fans don't even like him. And then Boyce Watkins, it was perfect. It was perfect. I'm really not a fan of Roland, and it's so interesting because he's talked shit to all of my friends on Twitter. All of my friends. I don't recall him ever, like, at least he never tagged me in anything or mentioned me in anything. But it's very strange how he was interacting with everybody and being really rude to, like, all of my friends, like Sharice, King, like, everyone who is a Black conservative. And then when I came out when I came out and started beefing with Brandon Tatum on the timeline, he started retweeting. I was like, you're fake as fuck. As soon as I talk about Brandon Tatum, now you're retweeting me, but you literally have a problem with everybody else. Yeah.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Like Dr. Chris Metzler, who I do the Red and Black show with, he retweeted something with Diamond and Silk talking about how, this is back in December, I guess, they talked about how the military needs to take over because of voter fraud, yada, yada, yada. And he tweeted that and criticized them and tagged me and some other people in it. And Roland retweeted that. So he actually retweeted my article about Candace Owens lying to the Black community about lying to conservatives about Black culture. You love that article.
Yeah, I feel like he just
got into it on Fox Soul. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, one thing I will say about him that I respect, when he has Black conservatives on his show with other Black Democrats, he will not allow them to use terms like Uncle Tom or Coon. He does not allow that on his show against Black conservatives. So I can respect that about him because a lot of others wouldn't do that.
I didn't know that. I really didn't know that because I feel like he uses every single like word besides coon. Like he'll call you a sellout for sure. He'll do it in a really roundabout way. Maybe he won't call you an actual slur, but he'll basically say it anyways.
Yeah, he'll say
good. The comments are fighting about reparations. Let's take a look see. Oh my god, let me catch up, guys.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit, this is not the right comment. Somebody said reparations is pandering bullshit. I mean, if you're on my channel, or if you've like viewed some of my videos, you'll know I'm pro reparations, and I have a couple of videos describing my plan. Well, I have a couple articles and a couple of videos describing that plan. Most recent one, I think the best way I can actually describe it and kind of make that case is if you guys watch my live stream with Sharice Lane. The first live stream I did, it's about 5 or 6 videos down, where we actually broke it down point by point and looked at different plans. We looked at the Trump Platinum plan and we put it on the screen. We looked at the ADOS plan and we put it on the screen, and we looked at Ice Cube's contract with Black America. So that's that on that. This live stream is really not. I mean, I can talk more about it if you guys have questions, but I'm not like trying to make the case for reparations right now because I've already done that a million times. And the whole point of that live stream, so I don't have to answer that fucking question anymore. Do you think a pro-Black or conscious conservative can be elected in a majority white district? I don't know. You think so?
Yeah, especially if they're Carltons like myself. White people love me.
Do they?
Oh yeah, they love me. No, but I think they
probably think you're one of the good ones.
Exactly. I can lure them in that way. No, but I think that a pro-Black conscious conservative can be elected in a majority white district. I mean, if they were running in that district, the issue of pro-Black wouldn't really even come up because they're not really going to talk about I'm pro-Black because their district would be mostly white. So
I know, but the only thing that worries me is that they're going to like dig into some Twitter shit. And
I see what you're saying.
Right, because if I was to run, I don't live in a majority white district, but if I was to run in a majority white district and I really didn't talk about Black issues because it's just not the demographic, the establishment, like I'm like assuming it's like I'm running for the Republican nominee, the establishment would definitely throw all they had at me, bringing up tweets of me talk about like reparations or like not supporting law enforcement and shit like that. So that's my concern.
Okay, so I was taking that more like would white Republican voters vote for a conscious Black conservative? Because you're right about the establishment; they would try to drag you. But I was assuming that maybe you got past that, and then it's just for the voters. I think voters would.
I don't think white Republicans have a problem voting for Black Republicans who don't spew talking points and things like that. I literally just think it would be a problem winning the Republican nomination because of the party, not necessarily the voters, because of the party, which is really sad, actually, which really is sad. Let me catch up. Depends what one means by pro-Black. How do you define that, Jeff?
It means we hate white people and we want a Black ethno state.
I 100% agree.
No, I mean,
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, pro-Black doesn't mean anti-white at all. I mean, white people can be pro-Black. I mean, pro-Black, to me, what that means is seeing the Black community close the disparity gap, the wealth gap, especially economically, between Black and white Americans. Wanting to see that happen, wanting to see the Black community have more economic opportunities and more access to capital, to have better education, to really undo what the government did to the Black community. To me, that's what being pro-Black is.
I agree. I really have nothing to add to that. I just find it crazy how people conflate it with being anti-white. And I think that's really, maybe it's not crazy because I feel like it's really telling because they view being pro-white as being anti-Black. So they're just kind of thinking that we're trying to take revenge or give them a taste of their own medicine when really I have no desire to be racist to white people. I have no desire.
We don't want anything that you got.
Okay, interesting comment here because this person says Japanese Americans whose property was taken by then President Roosevelt never got that back. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that, BT Diaz? I encourage you to Google it. Japanese Americans did get reparations from the United States government many years after. To be fair, it wasn't immediate. immediately after they were let go from the internment camps, Japanese Americans did get reparations, monetary, from the U.S. government.
I want to say even their kids got it too.
They did. It was like second generation got it as well. So and even if they didn't, I don't see how that's a reason why Black people shouldn't get reparations. I think that anyone who the state owes a debt to should be repaid. I don't view it as like a welfare check. I don't view it as a handout. I view it as a debt to be repaid. So I 100% agree with the fact that Japanese Americans were paid. They got paid the same generation and one generation after. We haven't gotten paid. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that my grandparents don't deserve some shit for going through Jim Crow, we don't even have to talk about slavery, because crazy right-wing fallacy that reparations is only about slavery, when the 8 Days Plan doesn't say that. FBA, no reparations. So that's just how I know that people have not researched reparations.
Well, there's a huge lack of education on this subject on the right. Now, here's the thing. If they still disagree with it, I would rather them know what they're disagreeing with. Right now, they have no idea what reparations even means. It's not just, like you said, it's not just about slavery. It's about Jim Crow, redlining, yada, yada, yada. The government owes the debt. People aren't going to go to white people's houses and say, write the check for Black people. No, it's the government that did it. So the government owes the debt. And that can take many different forms. It doesn't have to be they just write a check. But I mean, you've explained that in your video. So
I'll summarize it a little bit without spending a lot of time on it. But I'm saying the ADOS plan, I think, is the best plan. I don't think that the contract with Black America pandered too much to leftists. It was kind of more about, like, I think, at least my impression of it, my interpretation was that it was more about equal outcome as opposed to equal opportunity, and that ADOS plan was more focused on repaying the debt instead of trying to, like, force Black people into white spaces. I'm not an advocate for being like, okay, this white company has to give 4 manager positions to Black people. Like, that's not really my fight. I don't think that Black people should necessarily view making into like a white company as like victory. Like, start your own company. If they don't want Black people in there, they're not going to hire Black people. The government shouldn't have to force them to hire Black people. So that was kind of my interpretation of contract with Black America, although there were some good parts of it. But the ADOS plan, I thought was a lot better because it was very detailed in the implementation of it. It was very detailed in who receives reparations, who pays reparations. Like, it basically had a full economic plan. And there was a lot of I got comments all the time, like, do biracial people get reparations? Do African people get reparations? What if I have one Black ancestor and, like, do I get reparations? And all those questions are answered on the ADOS website. In short, the documentation they want is you have to have documentation of you being considered Black by the government. Like, if your birth certificate says Black, if your government documents say Black, you can't go through life identifying as a white person and just be like, I have a Black great grandparent, I deserve reparations. That's not how it works. Also, you do have to have Black grandparents. Not just Black, ADOS, like American Descendants of Slavery. So in the plan, Black immigrants, I love y'all. Y'all not included in this. I'm sorry. It's not for y'all. And yeah, you do have to prove that you have grandparents that are ADOS. And as a biracial person, I do have that. So technically, I will qualify. Frankly, I don't care if I qualify. Fortunately, I feel like I've been fortunate to where I'm not like financially like suffering as much as a lot of Black people are across the country. I don't live in like a very urban area. So like, I really didn't get into this fight to be like, yeah, I want reparations for my light skin ass. Like, I really don't give a fuck. I want reparations for my grandparents. They're the ones that had to live through that shit. My dad, he's the one that had to live with the repercussions of that shit. But yeah, I'm not in this fight for myself. I hope that answers the questions. I like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it. And we're already over an hour, so I'm actually going to let Jeff kind of leave us with any closing thoughts, any strategies and tips for Americans on Black outreach, and maybe if you want to dispel any conservative ink lies, go ahead, take it. This is your time.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is, for the people watching and others who watch later, and really for the conservative movement, we need to be open to having these conversations on the right. It's like Maj said during the CPAC panel, We need to have these hard conversations. These conversations are uncomfortable. It doesn't always make me comfortable to tweet some of the stuff that I do and to write some of the stuff that I do, because I know how people are going to react. But we can't be afraid to experience that cognitive dissonance of hearing things that we're not used to hearing that might show that our deeply held beliefs were wrong. Don't be so married to your opinions. One of the reasons why I don't experience a lot of that cognitive dissonance is because I am married to my principles, but I am not married to my opinions. If you show me some evidence, if you explain something to me in a way that makes sense, I have no problem changing my opinion. We need those conversations, and we need people to be open to hearing stuff that is the opposite of what's been heard. Some of it might get heated as far as debate goes, but I think if we are able to have these conflicts and to hash them out and do the work, then the result is going to be a better conservative movement. It's going to be a conservative movement that can stand up to the rise of socialism that we're seeing today. And what I will say is that if the conservative movement does not win over Black and brown voters, this nation will become a socialist nation. It is that important to me. So I would just say, be open to the conversations. You're going to hear things that you're not used to hearing, and that's okay. There's going to be things that you don't understand, and that's okay. Ask questions and be willing to hear the answer. And I think that will be okay.
I 100% agree with that advice. And I 100% agree with your assessment that without minority voters, without not pandering, not coddling, not tap dancing for Black people, but actually appealing to Black people, actually appealing to Latino voters. I don't really talk about that much because I'm not Latino. That's really not my fight. But if you're a Republican and you don't want the country to go to shit, you do have to pander to the next largest demographics besides white people a little bit. You kind of have to make up for these decades of lost time, these decades of actually not even lost time, but actively pushing Black people away, actively pushing minorities away. People literally don't talk about the lily white Republican movement. And it's so funny because the last time I tweeted about that, I was like, people don't talk about the lily white Republicans, and everyone was like, "Are you a racial slur?" Like, that's how many people had never heard of it. They literally thought I was calling white people like, "Oh, you lily whites don't know what the fuck you're talking about." Like, that was not me trying to call people lily white. That's literally the name of the movement.
My live stream on Wednesday is going to spend a lot of time talking about the lily white movement because there's not a whole lot of content about it. So I'm going to be talking about that and the entire history of how the Republican Party lost the Black vote and how it can get it back. I'm just going to be talking about that one subject on Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, lily white movement, Southern strategy. Nobody wants to talk about that shit. And it all happened. And now it's time for Republicans to actually put some boots to the pavement and undo that. And it's going to take more than Kimberly Klacik shooting a really awesome ad in Baltimore. I love that ad. I shared it. I was like, this is a fucking great ad. But it's not enough. I think she's definitely I think she's definitely headed in the right direction. And there's a couple other people like Byron Donalds, who we haven't seen a lot of yet. I do think he's headed in the right direction as well. A lot of my friends worked on that campaign. It was with the same PAC that we were working with to try to elect Loeffler and Perdue, and y'all saw how that worked out. But fortunately, they won. It was crazy because we were actually supporting him in a 9-way Republican primary, and he won by like a couple hundred votes. It was insane. Wow. But yeah, I really hope for the future of Black Republicans. I'm really trying to give people the benefit of the doubt because we've seen like so much negative messaging from certain Black Republicans. So I'm really glad that there's more people out there that we can give a chance to. With that, guys, I will let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, everyone who commented, questions, super chats, all that kind of stuff. And thank you so much, Jeff. You guys find him on Twitter at Jeff on the right. His alter ego is Black Putin, but we don't talk about that. So I will bid you all a good night.